Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video we're going to start exploring arrays in JavaScript. So you're already probably somewhat familiar with arrays if you've studied C++ or most other programming languages. But to review, arrays are simply variables that group data into a list, and that list is stored as a single variable. For example, I might make a const movies and set that equal to an array. Now arrays are denoted with square brackets, and inside you put a comma-separated list of data. So some of my favorite movies are The Boondock Saints, The Avengers, A Beautiful Mind, and Signs. So now we have an array that has 4 strings inside of it. And if we just console.log it, we get an array. Now what's one useful thing about the browser console is that it will nest these for you and makes it easier to see. So as you can see, each of these items inside of this array have an index next to them, 0, 1, 2, 3. So the Boondock Saints is at index 0, the Avengers is at index 1, Beautiful Mind is index 2, Sign is index 3, and the length of this array is 4. There's 4 items. One thing you've probably already noticed and hopefully you're already familiar with is that arrays indexing starts at 0. The first item in an array is at index 0. So the Boondock Saints is at 0. It's not at 1. Even though it's the first item, it starts at 0. That's very important to get across to understand that arrays start at 0. So if I wanted to get that data from the Boondock Saints, I would access it like this: movies, and then the index inside of square brackets. And it returns the Boondock Saints. And if I wanted to get the Avengers, movies, square brackets 1. The Avengers. And you can use these, every single one of these, like a normal variable. So you might say, I like plus movies 0 plus better than plus movies 1 plus period. And it'll put them together. I like the Boondock Saints better than the Avengers. So you can use these just like normal variables. And you can update these the exact same way. So let's say I wanted to update the Avengers to the Avengers 2 Rise of Ultron or something like that. Age of Ultron, I think it was. Anyway, let's try that. Movies 1, because remember, it's the second item, but it's at index 1, equals Avengers Age of Ultron. I hope I'm getting that right, because if I got it wrong, the internet's going to kill me. So now if I do movies, that one's been updated. It simply replaced it, just like you can update any other variable in JavaScript that's not a const. One thing to note, this is a const. I created movies as a const, and yet I'm able to change the data. The technical reason for this is because arrays are referential, and it just refers to this array itself. So the movies refers to the array, not the data inside the array, is one way to think about it. So the data inside the array is still mutable, is still changeable. So just keep that in mind. If you declare an array with a const, you can still update the values inside of it. You just simply can't redefine movies to be another array. So I couldn't redefine movies itself equals test. That's going to throw an error. But I can change the values inside of movies as much as I want. So just keep that in mind. That's just something to remember. In addition, you can add data to arrays in the exact same way. So movies 4 might be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Another great movie. You can see I'm kind of into the superhero thing. But so now if I do movies, it's added that one onto the end. And you can do that as many times as you want. So when you're making arrays, you can initialize them as an empty array. Const myArray equals an empty array. And then you can add stuff to it. MyArray 0 equals hi there. And now myArray has hi there in it. So you can initialize them as an empty array and then add things to them like that. Now that's one way to make an array. Another way you could make an array is to use the array constructor method. You could say const myOtherArray equals new array. Now you can do this, but it's not good practice to do this. Don't do this. Nobody does this. It's actually a little bit slower than just doing it the other way, so don't ever do this. I just wanted to show it to you in case you see it in some legacy code somewhere. So let's play around with arrays a little bit more. Let's make a new const animals equals, have a dog, a cat, and a horse. oops, hell if I could spell. Animals has 3 items, an array with 3 items, dog, cat, horse. So I could return animals 0 and get a dog. And I can also add to it animals 3 equals monkey. So now we've got all 4 of those things. I can also even do this. Animals 20 equals snake. And that works just fine. However, you'll notice that my array is now 21 items long. If I look at it, I've got 0, 1, 2, 3 monkey, and then 20 is snake, but the length is 21. Because what it did is it plugged in a whole bunch of undefines for 4, 5, 6, all the way up through 19. So now if I try and access animals, I don't know, 9, it returns undefined. So it's there, but its value is undefined. Don't do this. Don't do putting animals at indices that don't exist yet. Don't do that. That's not a good way to do it. There's better ways to add items to an array that we'll talk about later. Another interesting thing about arrays in JavaScript versus most other programming languages is that you can have mixed data types. Const mixed array equals, I put 1, I can put Josh, I can put null, put true, any of that, and that's perfectly fine. You can mix your data types. You can put whatever data types you want inside of arrays, and JavaScript is fine with that. Generally speaking, this is not a good idea. You won't do this very often at all, but you can do it. It's not going to throw an error. It's not going to be a problem. Arrays also have a length property, so mixed array.length, and this is just like strings. Mixed array.length will give you the length for each item. Notice that this is not 0 indexed. That just simply is a count of the items. And this can be very useful when you're using loops, like a for loop to loop over an array or something like that. So why do we use arrays? What's the purpose of arrays? Arrays show a relationship among data. It can let you group like things together into a single variable and make it a lot easier to work with. But probably the most important and most useful function of arrays is array iteration, meaning that you can go over each item in an array very quickly and easily. And in the next video, we're going to talk about common array methods, the next 2 videos actually. We're going to talk about common array methods that allow you to go through arrays and add to them and remove from them and to create new arrays, but even more importantly, to iterate over them and do something with each item inside of an array. So in this video, we talked about arrays and how you can create them, such as const new array equals square brackets. And you can put any types of data inside of here. You can put 3, 12, negative 100,000, Josh, put all kinds of different stuff in there. And new array, and there's all that stuff. So you can put whatever you want inside of an array. We talked about the array constructor, which is new array, and you give it const whatever equals new array, and how you should not do this. You might see this in some legacy code somewhere, but you should not do this because it's not efficient. We talked about how you can access data inside of arrays. So new array 2 gives us the 3rd item in there because they're indexed at 0. Make sure that you remember that. They start at 0, 0, 1, 2. And this, if you click on it inside the console, it'll show you that 0, 1, 2. And we talked about why you would use arrays. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to help. Thanks.